Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly welcome you to Marley State of Mind. You know what the fuck it is. You know what time it is, motherfucker. Let's go. It's a motherfucking podcast. Yeah, it's a motherfucking podcast. Hey, it's a goddamn podcast. Yeah, it's a motherfucking podcast, bitch. Yeah, it's a podcast, bitch. It's a goddamn podcast.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the world's dopest podcast, Marley State of Mind podcast. We're here at a Bunch of Bull Studios as per usual. And this week, we got a couple special guests with us, some filmmakers in the house. Why don't you introduce yourselves to the people?
I'm Ben Pramuk. I'm the writer, director / producer of The Damned Lands, a film hopefully coming soon in October.
Coming soon. Very good.
I'm Aaron Cooper. I pretty much do whatever he needs me to do.
That's right. Yeah.
He's a producer / jack of all trades. Whatever you need, he can get it for you. It's
sure.
Great.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm glad you guys joined us. I usually like to kick off the podcast saying how I was introduced to the artist or the individual that we have on a set tonight. This is no different. Jesse hit me up this time around and said, "Hey, I got a buddy who has a friend who in the filmmaking. You know, he's looking to make a he's making a slasher film locally, and they would love to come down and talk about it." And whenever he told me about that, I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, we gotta do that. That'll be a good time." And I'm a fan of horror films. We talked a little bit off camera about that. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the journey and the process of this for you and what you got going on. So for this particular project, or just in general, why don't we start from the beginning? For your love of films, or how'd you get into filmmaking, or have you always been a fan of film?
Kinda. It all started the first time I ever watched Jaws.
Okay.
I was a little kid, and it was like, oh wow, I'm really into sharks. Then I started learning about sharks. Then I'm like, well, yeah, they're kind of cool. And then it was like, and then I just keep going back to Jaws. I'm like, well, maybe I just really love this movie. And then from there, I just started watching any film I could get my hands on.
Do you remember what it was about Jaws that attracted you to that film, or what was it about that film that spoke to you?
I thought it was just the sharks, but then as I got older and I learned about filmmaking and the writing, it's just like it hits you on every beat. Like the characters are great, the dialogue is great. The suspense they built up in that movie, it was just everything was done to perfection.
Right.
And then you find out later it was that good because nothing was working for them on that. Like the shark never worked, so they found ways around it. And I was just like, man, it's just the process I was loving. So, graduated. Yeah. I'm an old asshole. I graduated from high school in 2000 and went to the University of Pittsburgh. I majored in film studies.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Where, learned.
So you were kind of always set on this path. Like this is something that you always seen yourself doing.
Yeah. And I went there. I learned about film theory and what actually is a film. While there also, we worked with the Pittsburgh filmmakers where we actually learned to use the equipment, how to write screenplays and things
very
like
nice.
That. So, but I didn't make it big because, anybody I tried to make a contact with, they were either long retired or arrested. But that's no contacts, so I couldn't break in. And the problem with screenwriting is, at least even back in the day, it was, well, once you pass 25 years old, they don't want to hear from you because you're out of touch with the core audience. I'm only 26. Well, no, you're not appealing to a demographic anymore. Okay, whatever you say. And and then you were just working any job that you jump at the job that pays you the most at the time to pay off the loans.
Sure, yeah.
And as the loans kept getting down and down, it's like, oh, screw it. I need a hobby. Let's start making short films, just throw them up on YouTube. And that's when I've known this guy for over 20 years, since we were 8 and 10 years old or something, for over 30 years. And I started telling him about it. He's like, well, yeah, I want to do that too. So we just started making short films, throwing them up on YouTube. And
Now, if someone wanted to watch some of these short films, where would they be able to catch some of this at?
It's on Jabs on YouTube. I'll get a link to you and send.
Yeah,
it to you.
absolutely. You said Jabs on YouTube. Very nice, very nice.
yeah.
So
And-
during the process of going to school and kind of learning filmmaking, what were you thinking at that time? Were you did you have aspirations to be in Hollywood, or did you have aspirations to move out of the area and do something bigger, or were you just like, was this always your vision to work independently for yourself in like this area?
Not at first. Like, yeah, I did want to move out of the state, and I found out also, like, I love movies and film, but at the same time, the process I loved the most was the screenwriting part of it.
Yeah.
Like, because you're actually sitting there, you're brainstorming, and it's like, well, technically, it's your story that you're putting on the page, and then you get to watch somebody put it on the screen.
You get to see your vision come to life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But then it was, and one of the things one of my screenwriting teachers always told us was, you're going to write something, and everybody's going to tell you, oh, it's brilliant. It's the greatest thing we ever read. You got to change this, and this, and this. And then I'm like, and he's like, well, that's when you got to decide. Are you going to take the check, or are you going to walk away
Stick to
with
your
it?
vision. Right.
And then it was just like, now, when you're 20, 21 years old, and it's like, well, somebody offers me a check for 200 grand, I'm taking the check for 200 grand. And then as I got older, and as we were doing the shorts, and it's just like, I'm glad I never moved out there. It's like,
right.
It's great.
You're happy that you didn't compromise your vision on behalf of the check.
You get to do what you want to do instead of
exactly. And it's just like, it dawned on me, like, wow, like, I wrote this. I'm making exactly what I wrote on the page, and it's like, don't have a lot of money behind it, but at least I know
you still have passion projects. It's still something that you're passionate about.
It's like, at least if it gets screwed up, I know I'm the one screwing it up.
Right. You have no one else to blame for it. That's awesome. Now, as far as the short films were concerned, what did these short films look like? Was this were you always into the horror? Because even you said Jaws was like your first film that really inspired you to get into filmmaking. Was it always the horror genre for you, or was it something else prior to that? What were the short films based on? They
were actually more comedy, like short 4 to 5 minute comedies, and it's just sitting around kicking around ideas. Like the first dive into it was, he pitched me an idea. He called it The Interview, and it was just like, I thought he was thinking talk show, but I'm like, interview. I'm thinking like job interview. So it's like, instead it was just, and it would, and have a girl basically dressed as Elvira being the interviewer, and she's interviewing Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
Yeah, we threw that out at Halloween time.
So even though it was comedy, it still had some horror elements to it.
That one did, yeah.
Right.
But it was just, coming up with things just on the fly. Like we were filming with 2 guys we knew who used to do local wrestling, like 10, 15 years ago for the Fed in Uniontown. And we liked their comedic timing. So it was like, let's just put them together and work it out. And then it was just, started off with one called In-Depth Conversation, where it's just 2 guys sitting there going, whoa, yeah, building towers of beer cans. And then it was just, got it from there. Then it was, did one right after we got done filming those 2. I'm like, well, I got an idea for a real short one. They're like, okay, what are we doing? Dueling beer cans. What are we doing? We're chugging beer. Oh, okay, we can do that. Yeah. But the funny part was, one guy was late. So he found out really quick how you have to improvise in filmmaking. So we filmed one guy, and he was done and out of there before the other guy even showed up. So, and he was like, and he volunteered to do the editing. I'm like,
Oh wow.
Oh, you're gonna
That was a
not
pain.
like this.
Yeah.
Just learning how to do it. At the time that I'm trying to do that, two people are not there trying to put them together was not a very good time.
It was a lot of tough editing that went behind that, huh?
Yeah. He found out really quick why I was like, go ahead, you can edit all you want to. You can do the editing.
Now with the shorts, were you guys doing a lot of the editing, writing, and the stuff yourselves, or
It was all ourselves. Well, yeah.
and
I
the
did.
acting? How did that come about? How did you find people to do the acting? I know you mentioned the couple wrestlers that you knew that
Yeah.
you got involved. Were there always outside actors on the shorts, or was it a
It
lot of
was-
that? Was a lot of that just the two of you?
Oh no, we actually did no acting in it whatsoever.
Okay.
But no, well, no, once those two guys did it, then we knew a few other like local wrestlers, and they were like, well, we want to get involved in this too. And we actually had people who wanted to come in and just do it. And then and then we found out a lot of them actually really do have talent. Like,
That's a big part of wrestling too, right? Is like a lot of the shorts and stuff that they have to cut for themselves for promo.
the promos
Is a lot of acting within that
Plus, they're
world.
building stunt doubles on top of that. So
Right,
they
right,
definitely
right.
Take a bump and not hurt themselves.
Hence-
Right,
Works
that's
out
true.
pretty well.
That's true.
Hence why two of them are also playing two of the killers in Damned Lands. So.
Okay, yeah, I was definitely going to ask about that. If a lot of the actors that you have, or not a lot of actors, but if some of the actors that you have from the shorts are actually going to participate into the
They
into the
are,
film that you're
yeah.
shooting.
Yeah. There's a few scenes written in where it's just like, hey, thanks for doing the shorts for me. You're in the feature length film. Like,
Yeah.
it's a scene or two just for them to just say, hey, I was in it for most of them. And then, like I said, then you have a few who are major roles. Like I said, the two big ones are playing two of the killers, and it was just they're wrestlers. So one of them is actually a huge guy.
Yeah, big guy. Yeah,
Yeah, and the other
kind of scary all on his own. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, and it's like you put him up against like any of the other actors we had, and it was like he was towering over them. It was like, yeah,
Size and height.
yeah,
Mhm.
right.
And anything he did, it was so believable. Like, punched a lighter out of a guy's hand, and it was like, yep, got that shot, and it
Nice.
looked perfectly believable. Like, and yeah, I'll spoil a little bit of the opening. The first kill of the movie is him literally punching a guy to death with barbed wire wrapped around his fist. So,
That's very, very wrestler esque.
and yeah,
One of the guys that trained him too, so he probably enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Had a little extra motivation behind it, right?
yeah, but yeah, yet another wrestler playing. He's the first kill. He goes by Jay Rue. He runs MVP Pro out in Charleroi, PA, and
Very nice.
yep, he did a great job as the boss character, and it.
Died very well
Yes, he did.
and bloody.
Yeah, our makeup effects supervisor, Sarah, she went to town on that face.
She had a good time, huh?
Man,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, okay, he's getting bludgeoned with barbed wire. I'm like, yep, okay. He comes out, it's like, holy crap! Like, I didn't expect that. It was
Look believable.
believable, disturbing, and it looked like he got punched about 20 times with barbed wire around a guy's knuckles.
Mission accomplished for sure.
She did it. Yep.
Yeah, she was definitely pro. She texted me he texted me telling me what she needed one time. It's like, I just need fake teeth.
Yeah.
And it was like $9. I'm like, okay, that's
Mhm.
Simple enough, right?
Yeah.
you're getting ready to kill some people. All you need is fake teeth.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So I definitely wanted to build into the film. I wanted to talk a little bit about the background and where you come from and your history of that, and with the short films being a big part of what went into making the film. Now, Damned Lands is the name of the film. Correct?
The Damned Lands.
The Damned Lands is the name of the film. Now, what inspired this film? I know we talked a little off camera about the inspiration behind it, but what inspired you to write this film?
Well, it started with I had to stop doing the shorts because my uncle died and he left me as executive to his estate. And it took me a year to clean up that mess. So I wasn't doing the short films. And as that was winding down, I was just thinking like, well, I could go back to doing the short films because everybody had a blast doing them. And then it's like, well, I could do that.
Did you build a lot of momentum while doing the short films? Were you getting the audience with that?
More or less, like it was varying, like depending on who was in them, basically dictated how many views we were getting on them. But yeah, and I was just sitting there. I was thinking like, well, I could do this, or I could do a full length. Just try and see if I could do a full length. And then also when I was sitting there, it just kind of dawned on me like Friday the 13th was my favorite horror series. I just got a kick out of that series all the way around.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me because at the time, because the rights issues are more or less settled now, but it was like, well, I'm never going to see another Friday the 13th in my lifetime. I'm like, well, screw it. Might as well just try writing one, like be an original.
Right.
But as I was writing it, it started moving more and more away from Friday the 13th and just becoming its own thing. And then I'm like, I think I really got something here. And it took me a year and a half. Well, it took me about a year to get the first draft done. And I'm really old school. Like give me a pad and pen and I'll just write it out that way. And that's the first draft. And as I'm typing it up, that's when I'll start like doing rewrites.
Mm-hmm.
And after I got that all typed up, and it was like, well, I like it and he liked it, but it was like, well, our opinions, like, it's not going to dictate like whether or not it's
going to appeal to a wider audience.
So we just took so people we trusted, because at the time it wasn't finished, so I didn't copyright it yet, so we handed it out to people we trusted in different demographics, different age groups and everything else, and they were reading it, and it was like, okay, who's going to be the harshest for who were hitting it? He had teenage niece.
You had your own focus group, so to speak.
We made our own focus groups.
Teens, early 20s.
Yeah. We gave them to our nieces, who will be the harshest critics you can have out there.
Right, sure.
And
how did they receive it?
My niece loved it, but and I like my oldest one basically grew up with me around her. I raised her on horror movies, so she read it and she was just like, "You need to build more tension." I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." Oh. Yeah.
Gave you some constructive criticism.
Yeah, and
my niece asked him, "You want me to spell check this while we're doing?"
Yeah, and I'm like, "Yes, please do that."
And technical with it.
And then she was like, "No, I love it. And she's like, "The main thing I love, you didn't date it." I'm like, "Okay, what do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, well, no, you have teenagers talking, but they talk like normal people. Like You're not trying to throw it." I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I'm not trying to know the kids slang and put it in there, because if
you didn't try to make some slang that was that you thought would appeal to the kids. You just made it very simple dialogue.
Yeah, you can't force it, like, because otherwise it comes off as completely fake, and the audience is completely taken out.
People sniff that.
Exactly. If you're not genuine, you're
forcing things. It just
you're already sunk with it. So, but no, I got their feedback. Then I wrote the full script. Then I wrote a full shooting script, and that's considered like the last one. Still making some changes as we're going through like this process.
That'll probably never stop. Yeah.
Oh no, because always going to change on the fly. But in August of last year, that's what I was shooting for, just to see if this was all going to gel or not, because I'm an amateur, he's an amateur.
Sure, yeah.
But we were bringing in people who actually
you trusted.
That we trusted, and were actually pros on every side of it. Like Sarah Burke, our makeup effects supervisor / artist. She's a pro. She's got film credits to her name. She's got experience, and she taught herself how to do this. So
Nice,
it's
very good.
yeah, and with Sarah, it's great because there's no with her. She's like, well, okay, never did this before. Let's find out how to do it. Okay, that's good. And our DP / cinematographer, Justin Christopher, give the man a camera. He'll give you a canvas. It's unreal what he does. The shots he can plan out. The cinematography is amazing.
So before we get too much into the casting, because we certainly want to touch on that, there's a couple things that you touched on earlier that I want to kind of get into. You said that you were inspired because of the Friday the 13th films, and you knew that the copyright issues they were having with Friday the 13th. For those who might not be familiar with that, myself included, what copyright issues was Friday the 13th going through that you didn't think that you would see another one? You said it's been settled now, but what was it?
It was well, Paramount made the first 8, and then New Line Cinema, who did the Nightmare on Elm Streets, after part 8 did bad for him, Paramount was like, well, okay, we milked it for all it's worth. Let's try and sell it off.
Right.
And New Line thought they were buying the rights to Friday the 13th, when in reality they only bought the rights to the Jason character.
Okay, sure.
They weren't allowed to use.
That's interesting. Yeah,
they weren't. Apparently, they didn't read the fine print or the document that whenever they bought it, because they could use the Jason name. They couldn't use the Friday the 13th name.
Right.
And they couldn't use anything that happened in the previous 8 movies.
So is that why we seen like the difference in the films and the film names later on down the line is because of those things going on behind the
that's why we got Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, because they couldn't use the Friday the 13th name.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. That's cool, and that's why I wanted to ask you about that, because I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah,
and I caught you said that earlier in our conversation off camera, that they had some issues, some legal issues going on with that, and that kind of inspired you to make the film yourself. So I definitely wanted to touch on that and find out for my own curiosity's sake. Exactly what you meant when you said that. So
so now anytime they would have wanted to have made a movie, you had Paramount and New Line fighting over the rights, plus Sean Cunningham, the original creator, was like, well, no, I still own it, blah blah blah. Then you had the screenwriter come in and own it. This was a legal battle that was stretching for 20 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
it's such a big brand. So it's easy to see how that could be the case.
And the only reason the remake happened back in 2009 was because, well, Paramount and New Line were just like, well, neither one of us are making money at this point, so let's just do it and see if we could actually
They bit the bullet.
Yeah, they bit the bullet. And after that, it was like, well, we're never doing this again. So yeah, but no, the issues got settled. Well, ironically, the movie rights, it's Paramount, Cunningham, and New Line are still arguing to this day. They want to get something done, but there's
probably a lot of money on the line when it comes to something like that.
Well, no, the screenwriter turned out to be the smartest one out of them, because he won and he gets a piece of the pie too. But while they're arguing over film rights, while the lawsuit was going on, streaming was starting to boom. So he was like, well, if you guys are busy doing that, hey, Peacock, can I do a Friday the 13th series? Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, nice. Very good. Yeah.
That's why I found out, like, well, apparently I am going to see more Friday the 13th in my lifetime. But it's like, well, I still wrote it. And then it was just like, well, I just don't want to do like a knockoff of Friday the 13th. I want to
make something original.
But I want to show like just why I loved the 80s slasher genre in general, like what it was all about. You had like, as far as effects go, I want to do like all practical effects. I want the prosthetics. I want like literally a fake hand getting chopped.
You don't want the CI stuff. You don't want the.
I don't want no CGI. I want it all old school. I want it to be seen as for what it is, and whew, man.
So now, when it comes to old school slasher films or just horror films in general, why don't you give me your top 5 horror films all time?
Oh man,
I like top 5 lists.
Top 5 lists. You got to go.
No, it doesn't have to be in any particular order.
Yeah, and this is just my personal opinion.
Yeah, so don't get mad out there, people.
Yeah,
this isn't anything official.
There's better movies that can be named that would be on the list, but just looking at
These are just your favorites
that influenced me a lot. You
Sure.
know, you got to go number one. Well, I'm going to pull the Friday the 13th Part 6 because that is my all-time favorite out of the series, and it's probably my most enjoyable. Just kick back, pop it on, and watch it. I love that one. I'll go Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 over the original just because that second one is just so batshit crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell Toby was on when he made that one, but
Yeah.
it didn't. But yeah, so Friday 6, Texas Chainsaw 2. I got to put a Wes Craven in there. So I'll actually go with Wes is a hard one because everything he's done has been good on any kind of level. It's like Screamer and the original Nightmare. That's a tough one. Oh man, I'll say the original Nightmare just because of what it created.
Yeah,
like
what came after it.
It took the slasher genre to a whole new level.
Definitely did.
So
made such an iconic character out of it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Freddy.
Yeah. Robert Englund to this day is still making money off of that.
Yeah.
And, I'm happy
and always
for
will.
him. Oh yeah.
And always will.
So yeah, we got Friday 6, Chainsaw 2, Original Nightmare.
I think you're gonna say Jaws.
Now you see, I'm kind of the opposite of that. Everybody likes to say it's a horror movie, but to me, it's more of a creature feature thriller type.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd go with horror for that.
Okay.
Anybody that classifies it as horror, hey, no problem with it. I get your case. To me, it just seems more creature feature thriller. So no, it wouldn't be there. Honestly, I'll go original again and go the original Hellraiser that Clive Barker did, because talking about the mood that he created was just
the cover alone was just creepy, wasn't it?
It was, and then you find out like he based it off of a book he wrote, and he actually had to tone down the book so he could make the movie because he knew going in, he was like, well, if I try to make this, it's never getting released because if I'm lucky, it'll get an X rating.
Right.
And so, yeah, the original Hellraiser and man. And honestly, well, we were talking earlier about zombies, so I got to throw zombie on there. I'll tell you what, I'll go with House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
Over his other ones, just because that was his first one. Yeah. Even though it was his first one, and he's actually like embarrassed about it now, it's like nothing to be embarrassed about. No,
not at all.
That was a brilliant.
I think all artists as they come up are always a little, their first bit of work is always a little cringeworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you see so many things that other people don't see, your casual fan won't see, or even your hardcores won't see. Just because it's your vision and you could have done something so much more, which I'm sure you probably went through that with the shorts as well. You probably see some of that stuff and you guys are like, we could have approached it a little bit differently.
You're learning like, oh crap, that wasn't supposed to be in the shot. I'm like, well, I definitely didn't frame that right.
But other people probably love it though. They're like, oh yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
And don't even see the things you're talking about. Don't even see the flaws that you're talking about.
Oh,
now, as far as the Damn Land's concerned, because you're here promoting the Damn Land.
Yep.
I think it's interesting that you guys were able to get so many people with like real credibility involved in a project. What was that process like for you guys to gather all of these pieces? You spoke about your makeup artist, Sarah. You spoke about the different people that you have involved in this project. Of course, the wrestlers came along with you from the shorts, but how were you able to gather all these moving pieces together to build what you're building now?
Well, it actually, it started with our DP, Justin Christopher, and this is what actually inspired me to start doing the shorts too, because a few years back, he was trying to make a movie and he was trying to do a trailer and he needed 3 guys to be stand-ins. And it's like for the killers in the movie. And it was like, he couldn't get 3 guys. Well,
1, 2,
1, 2, and another friend of ours.
Did you guys already have a relationship with him prior
He did.
to?
I grew up with him.
Okay.
He was
Mhm.
lived up the road from me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we met, and then that's how I met Justin.
It's funny how things work, right? Like how like-minded
Mhm.
people end up sticking together and being together. You guys probably had no idea that it would lead to this. These friendships would lead to this, but it ended up being so beneficial in what you're doing.
No, looking back, it's crazy. Like you don't even think about it at the time. Like, wow, everything we did, like building up through the shorts and everything, it's all coming around now. Because as soon as I got the screenplay written, and it's like, well, I'm not there where I can run the camera and direct something this big.
Right.
And I think it was, and I'm talking to Coop. I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? And Coop's just like, go talk to Justin, see if he'd be interested. Talk to Justin, and he was more than interested.
And everything snowballed. Like everybody knew somebody did something else. It just snowballed one thing after another.
Yeah, and Justin, this is kind of a sidebar, but it works back to Sarah in that, well, no, there's this guy you have to work with. His name's Dave, and he's an actor who has over 98 credits to his name.
Ogadowski.
Yeah.
One more time.
Dave Ogadowski.
Yeah.
Ogadowski.
Yeah, I can't pronounce last names.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to attempt it, Dave. But yeah, shout out to Dave. Now, you guys were telling me a little bit about Dave, and you said this recommendation came from Sarah?
From Justin.
From
He was
Justin.
like, you have to work. They're like, you have to work with this guy. And I'm like, this guy's got 98 credits. Why would he want to work with
98
me?
credits. That's insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
24 in the works.
24 in the works.
Mm-hmm. And so
in addition to the
in addition to ours, plus what he already did.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I'm
anything we would recognize, we would be able to
most of it's indie film style stuff. I'll get a list for you if you. I'm
no worries. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, but so I called Dave up, and I'm thinking like, I'm actually a nervous wreck talking to Dave because I'm like, this guy is legit on every level, and I'm thinking like, why would he want to work with me? And then he's asking me about the project. I'm describing the plot and the project to him, and he's like, and plus he's always wanted to like work with Justin on something too. So he's like, no, I'm interested.
All the stars aligned in that move. Yeah.
And he's just been so great. And Sarah got on board because at first and Justin was like, oh, I'm bringing you this equipment. I'm bringing you my experience and this and that. And he's like, and I have his cousin. He are going to be our original makeup effects artist.
She was in school for it at the time.
Yeah. But she dropped out last minute.
Okay.
And I'm just like, so as I'm talking to Dave, and I'm like, well, do you know anybody who does that work? I figured he would. And he's like, Sarah Burke, go talk to her. She's great. And the worst part was at first when I was talking to Sarah, I'm like, I'd love for you to do it. And then Justin's cousin's like, well, I changed my mind. I want to do it. And I'm like, oh God. And then, well, no, I gave her a second chance, and then she left the second time. So like, okay, Sarah, I got
Did you still have Sarah aboard when that happened, or?
I actually said, well, we'll go with the original. And then luckily a day later she quit again. So I called Sarah back.
So it wasn't too much time that went in between.
Yeah. Basically I was begging her to like, please come back.
And that's a big part of what you're doing with the horror film is the makeup, because that's gonna put everything across. And like you said, you're not doing any computer animated cut-ins or anything like that. So the makeup is going to be a key part of
it. Is crucial
of getting that vision out.
Yeah. And so basically I went begging to Sarah, and she's been a joy to work with. And hey, everything happens for a reason. So
yeah, that's the truth. Yeah,
it was now that
She does
she's on.
phenomenal work.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Now you said Dave. You said off camera. You guys told me that Dave does a lot of advising for the film too. He's become an integral part of the filmmaking process as more than just an actor.
Anytime he was like, we already filmed 2 days like throughout the year, once in August and then another one in October. Every time he's on the set, he's like, all he'll sit back and he'll see what you're doing and he'll be like, hey Ben, maybe you should try it like this or try it like that. And I'm like, nah, I like the idea. I never thought of that. Yeah, let's give that a shot. And
I'm sure he appreciates the fact that you're so open to suggestion as well.
Anything he suggests, I'll listen to on, and at least 99% of the time I'll go with what he says because it makes perfect sense. And I know the experience he's speaking it with. And plus also, while I'm setting up the next shot with Justin, he's actually, because, he's, as of right now, he is definitely the most experienced actor on that set.
Yeah.
And
all around experience too.
Yeah.
And he's working. And as I'm setting up the next shot, he's actually talking to, the actors who are either like pro wrestlers or people with very limited acting experience.
Sure.
And he's working with them like, okay, yeah,
this is what you need to do.
You're doing this, but try doing this.
Right.
Like try to build it up to another level.
He's directing as well.
And explaining why at the same time.
Right.
It's really awesome having him.
So yeah, it's like I'm learning on the fly, just having Dave there, and he's making the other actors who are kind of novices get up to that next level, which is crazy. Like just how that's working.
No, that's awesome. Now, as far as the other actors are concerned, and I can't imagine this whole process has to be very expensive. I'm trying to think of a better way to say it, but I mean, there's no way around it, right?
Yeah, there is no better way to say it.
There is no better way to say it. I imagine this whole process is very expensive because people want compensated for their time, especially when you're talking about people who have some notoriety to them, and a lot of validity to what they're doing. And even the people who are, like you say, novice, who are just getting into it, I'm sure that they still want compensated for their time on some level, especially while you guys are trying to get a name for yourself. Now, how are you going about the funding of something like this? And have you found a lot of challenges with that?
So far, yeah. Right now, we're going through trying to raise funding right now. Like we set up a GoFundMe that hasn't really hit yet. Hopefully, over the next few months, we'll be getting more hits off of that.
How can the people support? This is your opportunity to let them know how to do that.
Okay, definitely go to GoFundMe.com, independent slasher film. It'll take you right there, and that's how you can hey, if you can already did the basic math in my head. All you need is 25,000 people to pledge $10, and we got our budget right there.
Right.
That's all we need. Like I've worked it out. We can make this movie for $250,000.
Nice, very good, yeah.
And now the stuff we shot beforehand, it was money out of pocket. I think we calculated we already spent about $6,000 on what we've shot so far. And just last week, we started going around to the local businesses around here saying, hey,
getting some sponsorships.
Exactly. And
how's that been going? So it's a real grassroots effort that you're putting together. You guys are really feet on the pavement trying to pound this thing out to get this going. Have you found a lot of support locally?
It's been nothing set in stone yet, but honestly, I'm confident about a few of them. And like Walt, the owner down at Faco Rentals, like I rented the equipment, like some work lights and generators off of him for when we shot in August. And we talked to him, and he was like, well, if you're going to go like asking for sponsorships, this is what you really need. He showed us like a typed out form and a tier list and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
Go around with this, but put the horror spin on it. I'm like, no, that's great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And set it up that way where, $200 gets you basically a thank you at the end credits of the film. Only as soon as the film ends, I'm going to put up the thank yous.
Right.
So just so it's like, well, yeah, if you're putting it at the end credits, nobody's going to see it. No, it'll be right as the film ends, so everybody sees your name there.
Right, it'll be the first thing that pops up on the credits.
Exactly.
Sure.
And then like
350.
yeah, the 350 is, we'll have like a line of dialogue thrown in there where you'll
Basically
drop
name
it in
drop.
there, like one
It might be one of the victims.
it will be like one of the characters. It'd be really easier based on how I wrote, or just look around like, yeah, we should have just went to the Motel 6 or something.
Right.
And then for $500, you'll get your actual product placement in the film.
Oh,
So,
very cool.
yeah,
And that's mutually beneficial too. So
exactly. And then of course for $700, we'll work in like your logo, your company's name on, say, a t-shirt one of the main actors is going to be wearing throughout.
Right.
So it'll be there for like the whole thing.
nice.
Now, of course, those are limited. We can only limit it to maybe 4 to 6.
Right, because you only have so many scenes you can cut.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but nah, so far we did that. And like I said, we just started that on Tuesday. And this Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to go out, hit up some more businesses. So hopefully we'll start hearing back from them too. And again, the GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com/slasher film. Go check that out.
Or if you want to contact us, they can go through the damnlands.com and we can come up with something if they have anything off the top of their head they want to do.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we have our own website set up now too. Just thedamnedlambs.com. Just type that in and you'll go straight to our website, which, yeah, I'm 41 years old. I have no idea how this stuff works. So once again,
You're kind of learning on the fly.
Yeah, I don't know how to set up a website. Well, first it was, again, Dave was just like, you know what you really need for credibility? I'm like, what's that? An IMDb page. I'm like, okay, how do I set that up? And he's like, here's this girl. Her name's Latasia. I'm like, okay, call her up. She's a student out at Oakdale, like going to school for filmmaking too. And she's like, yeah, I'll set you up an IMDb page for X amount of money. I'm like, cool. And, and then they started like getting into, well, yeah, got the IMDb page. You really need a website. And I'm looking around for people who build websites. They're asking for thousands and thousands of dollars. And I asked Latasia, and I'm like, well, you know anybody that can do it? She's like, yeah, I can do it for you.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, okay.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, and then it was just like, well, you've been doing a lot of work for me. She's like, well, yeah, and you've been paying me to do the work. I'm like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, no, you need to add yourself to the credits too. Like, she's like, well, what do you got in mind? I'm like, digital media supervisor.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'll have myself in there. And it's like, yeah, exactly. You're doing the work. You're doing a great job. Like, take credit for it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Plus you're a student. It'll be
and
nice
it help build
it
helps
build up your resume when you jump
exactly.
into the job world.
Exactly.
So we got the website up and running too.
So it sounds like a lot of your networking and a lot of the people that you're meeting to be a part of the film are coming from within the film. Like you're building a network within your network, and it's just branching out from there.
It is, and it's crazy. Sometimes at an exponential rate. Like I don't. It's just like it just keeps branching out. It's like, wow,
that's beautiful. That's what you want.
Yeah, and as far as like casting, like we're working on casting the leads right now because everything we've filmed so far, we filmed the opening, and that's what we filmed in August. And Justin was just like, "Oh, we're gonna need more than the opening if we want to throw stuff out there." He's like, "We got to shoot again in October."
Have you made a trailer?
Yes, we have. Yeah, that's Justin again too. Justin loves cutting trailers. He's cut 2 of them so far. The latest one is up on his YouTube channel.
Also on the damnlands.com
and
our
website. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin's YouTube. Yep. And
Red Phoenix Media is Justin's company.
Yeah, that's what
Red Phoenix Media. There we go.
Yeah, that's his YouTube channel with the trailer on it. And yeah, the Damn Lambs website has the trailer up on it as well. And plus Latasia, she also put up links to the YouTube for the trailer, the GoFundMe. And of course she was like, hope you don't mind, I got creative. They're blood splatters. I'm like,
Beautiful.
Fits it perfect.
Hell yeah. Now what we've done, and we've taken all this time so far, and we haven't done yet. Tell us what the film's about.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, let's find out what the film's about.
It is a throwback to 1980s slashers. What the general story is, there's a family that for generations have owned a plot of land. Well, they say they own the land mainly because anybody that tries to take it off of them ends up not being around too much anymore. And what happens is you have these 6 kids, like college kids, all they're trying to do is go camping. Campsite lost the reservation, and they're at a rest stop, and they see a map posted where there's like all this open space. Oh yeah, that would be perfect.
Close to a lake.
Close to a lake, and close to a lake. I don't know where I pulled that from.
Right.
But they and so they end up going to the Dan lands where they meet the family of some very interesting characters. Like Dave's playing Papa. He's more or less the overseer of the family. He's the one saying like, and his plot twist is he doesn't like killing, but he knows he's got it. It needs to be done. And it's like, you have, the tall wrestler played by Dylan, he's playing Jumbo. He's basically the heavy. He's kind of my nice little throw into Jason. So it's
right.
Like, and then you have
the strong silent type.
And we're in the process of casting Mama, the matriarch of the family who, Papa don't like killing. Oh, she loves it. It's her favorite pastime.
How can now if someone's watching now who's an actor or an actress interested in being a part of this, how can they go about doing that?
There's a website we've been using. It's called Backstage website. If you sign up for that, you can apply for many different kind of jobs. Also, if you go through our website, the Danlands, and contact us, I'll send you a script if you're interested. All we need is your height, your age, and a little bit about yourself, and then we'll send you the script, and you can read some of the stuff for us and go from there.
Basically, just video auditioning is what we're doing for the leads right now, and also like didn't cast Mama yet, but one of the skills we did needed to be Mama, and it's like, okay, we need a stand-in, so we go and. Once again, J. Rue helps us out.
Wrestling stunt double.
Yeah. And there's a new trainee girl. Her name's Bree. And it was just like, I look at her. I'm like, I think she could work it. Because she'd be under her mask. It doesn't matter how old she is at this point, just for the scene. She did crazy really well. And I'm like, well, you're definitely too young to be Mama. I'm like, but you know what? I think the family has a little sister now, so boom, she got written into that.
Oh, very cool. Did she do such a good job that you wrote that in, or was that always a part of the original story?
No, I wrote it in.
Wow.
Because she did that good of a job. Yeah. And the other one is Sparky. He's played by Dennis, another wrestler. He's let's just say it. He's that special boy in the family.
Yeah.
He's the guy who will put his finger in a light socket to see what it'll do.
Oh, yeah.
Eat some paint chips, lick some windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's and Jumbo's the one who always has to keep Sparky out of trouble.
I'm sure that makes for an interesting dynamic throughout the film.
It is, yeah. And those two, they do have great chemistry together. So you have the big man, little man dynamic working really well. It's just like, Sparky loves running around trying to stab him, and Jumbo's just boom, done, moving on.
Yeah, almost cartoonish.
It kind of, but the violence is kind of cartoonish, but the aftermath, and again, that's thanks to Sarah's makeup. The aftermath is
lots of gore,
is very gory, and it very realistic too on a lot of levels. So it's like, wow, like.
Now, for someone who might be watching this, who's a young, aspiring filmmaker, or just hearing this might make them want to inspire to do something like this, what type of advice would you give them to try to head on their way through the journey? Or what type of advice could you give them to help them skip steps that you might have had to take, or walls that you had to hit constantly before, just by experience? And then what can you help them, can you give them to help them skip that?
The first thing I'd say is all starts with an idea, and just make sure it's an idea you really love and you want to get behind, because as I've found out, it's 2 years in the making. Just I've looked at this script so many times and everything else, and it's just I haven't lost any passion for it.
Yeah.
So main thing I could say is have an idea, be very passionate for it.
Yeah.
And just start from there. Start with a script. It doesn't even have to be like professionally written or anything. Just get your ideas out there. Just know the story you want to tell. And once you start with that, then do short films and things like that while you're letting the big one gestate with you. Do the shorts so you can learn the techniques and you can learn on your own what the process is and how you're doing it. Find out the actual work that goes into
filmmaking.
Yeah, like even doing a 5-minute short, like would be shooting for 6 hours to get 5 minutes sometimes.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
6 hours for 5 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, that's just how that's
Probably
just the
10 people
process
behind the scene, which you don't see half the time too.
Right.
Waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, do short films just to get acquainted to
Don't have
doing
to be
the
professional.
process.
Just go out there and do it.
Because yeah, our shorts are schlock, and I stand by it, and I love every second of the fact they're schlock. But
They're meant to be gritty and just fun.
Right.
But you learn so much. You learn what to do and what not to do, because when you're doing the short films, you're learning as you go, and it's trial and error. It's like, and you look back like, okay, I did that wrong, so I don't do that way again. And then you keep learning and you keep building. And then every once in a while, you'll keep going back to that one thing that you have so much passion for and you want to do it.
Yeah.
And then you'll find out, like, maybe depending on how long it'll take you to pick up the filmmaking aspect of it, it might be a couple years, or you might be a savant and in 6 months you got it down to a T.
Right.
Then you look at that passion project and you just get in your head like, I think I'm ready to try this, and there's the biggest one. Like, you can think of at least 100 ideas not to try this, but then you just keep going back to that one reason, like, why am I doing this? Because I really want to do this. I love it, and I want to do this.
Right.
Plus, when people ask you what you did, you actually have something to show them, to show that you're actually serious, even if it's something small.
Right.
And that's the best advice I can give them is
don't be afraid to talk to people and ask people questions. I mean, you just have to get out there and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just find something you're passionate about and don't be afraid to do it. Like, and there's the other major difference. Like, when I went to film school, well, and it wasn't even film school, it was a film studies program where I learned at the University of Pittsburgh, and through Pitt, I was shooting on film. We were like,
you were on actual sets.
No, we were shooting on actual film rather than digital.
Oh, I got you.
While we were editing, we were literally using splicers and all this stuff, like, because that's what it was. That's what it was back in the 2000s.
Yeah. Wasn't any digital editing, anything like that.
No, the closest we had whenever I went to school was videotape.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And it was an eye-opener.
It's a whole different world now, right?
It is. And that's why it's so much easier to do it now.
So much more accessible to people who are trying to do it today.
You can shoot something on an iPhone.
Right. Exactly. I was just going to say that. You can shoot something on your phone that's just as good as anything that they'll have on Super Bowl Sunday commercial.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Shoot it on your phone. There's editing software out there where you can edit for free. Yeah. And boom, just throw it up on social media and see what happens. That's all you got to do.
Reaction you get. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's really no such thing as bad criticism, because whatever they tell you, it's like, I didn't think about that. Or, yeah, I think you're completely wrong on that, but I can. But then it makes me wonder, well, how'd you get to that point? Like,
Right.
how did that hit you at that?
How did it take you there? Right.
Yeah, like, and then I'm thinking, like, well, what did I do that made you go to that direction? Like, what did I say or do? And
you can always learn through any criticism.
Exactly.
Sure.
I have no problem taking any criticism for anything.
Absolutely. No, it's a part of the process, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, as far as the dam lands, where are you at in the process now, as we speak?
Right now, we're wrapping on pre-production, mainly focusing on rounding out the cast. Like right now, like I said, we're trying to cast leads for the teenagers, and going through the props. Everything we have.
Kids, we don't want actual.
Yeah,
18
yeah,
kids.
you have to be at least 18.
Right.
Just wanted to point that out.
Way too many child labor laws.
Right.
But no, I don't use child labor. I want to get that out there right now.
He has to deal with me. That's close enough.
And Dennis and a few
That's
other
true.
people. But nah, everybody's great. It's but no, now, like I said, we're just doing the fundraising. So we have the money to actually get this done. We have about 4 months left to do the fundraising. Just backs up all the details. Right now, I'm working on an actual shooting schedule because I want to start shooting end of May, beginning of June, and
I'm sure the season matters a lot too, right? So timing for these things are important.
Yeah, definitely have to shoot in the summer. That's
right.
That's when weather's most favorable to you too.
Right,
like
sure.
Just the difference of shooting in August and October was just unreal. Shooting in August, we were shooting at night. Like it was like everybody would. It was like a cool 70 degrees. Everybody was fine and just sitting back. When we shot in October, I felt so bad for the girl we cast as a hiker, one of the victims. Oh man, she was freezing, man. It was bad. Like
I had to lay on the ground a lot while it was cold too.
Yeah, it was like 40 degrees in an October morning. It was horrible.
And you have to stay consistent within the filming too, right? So the costumes have to stay the same, even if it is 50 degrees as opposed to 80 degrees. You still have to have that attire to reflect what the film is trying to portray.
It got to the point, like during shooting, he's like, Ben, I know we got to keep on schedule, but I got to build this poor girl a fire just to stand in front of. I'm like, do it. Well, I'm like, well, first ask the owner of the property if it's okay. We have a bonfire going. He's like, yeah.
Now, how's that been for you, finding places to shoot?
It's been great, actually.
Did you already have an idea of where you wanted to shoot beforehand as you were writing the script?
No, not in an actual place. But what happened again, it was one of those, like, I had a buddy, he had an open lot. I'm like, well, it's perfect for the opening of the movie. His neighbors are dicks. And he was like, Ben, it would be a bad idea. They'd call the cops on you in 5 minutes. I'm like, well, yeah, that's definitely out. And then I asked Coop, like, you have any ideas? And he knew exactly where we go.
15 minutes later, I'm calling him, say, hey, what are you doing? And I go pick him up and drive him to the place. And Hyatt 2 Lake and Bar helped us out, and they have a big field where they do concerts and stuff.
Oh, very nice.
It's surrounded by woods and then has a lake and has campground, everything.
Oh, man, that's everything you're looking for. Yeah.
It's been
you need camping
ideal.
area. Ben, you need woods. Ben, you need...
we got a lake.
Oh, man, it couldn't be any more perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
And a restaurant there and everything.
Yeah, their owner, Alan, he's been great to us. Like, I'm like, hey, Alan, we're going to do this. Okay, go ahead. Okay, hey. Hey, Alan, I'm dumping entrails all over your field. Okay, just clean it up. Okay. It's
wow.
Yeah, and he loves just poking his head in every time. He's not like, he doesn't say a word. All he does is he's just watching this whole process unfold, and he's
a fan of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, Hyatt 2 Lake and Fairchance, Alan has been great to us. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
message and us asking when we're coming back and doing it again. It's like,
nice.
We're trying to get that up.
Yeah, we're working on that right now, and we're trying.
He's just as excited as you guys are to get it out. Huh?
Oh yeah, he sees it exactly for what it is. He's like, no, it's great publicity for not just me, but for the area in general.
Right.
Like you're bringing so much attention.
Is that important to you guys?
It It is, because nobody hears about a movie being shot in Uniontown, PA, and it's just like, well, plus it also just, again, like you said, somebody starting out, and it's like,
funny fun fact is my 7th grade teacher actually had the house that was Buffalo Bills
in Silence of the Lambs.
Nice. Yes,
Nice.
Mrs. Lloyd. Hey, what's going on, Mrs. Lloyd?
Nice.
She actually sold that home recently, but yeah, she had the
Buffalo Bill
house.
Nice.
Yes. 7th grade English teacher.
But
no, as you were, we were talking about films being shot in the area. Yeah.
But and it's just like, you don't have to. There's the other thing, because everything's so accessible now. You don't have to be out in California to make a movie. You can, as long as you got an idea that can fit into what you have to work with and the structure around you. It's like, no, this is what we have at our disposal.
And people from our area love local things, right? I know I do. Mm-hmm. I love when I see films that are shot in Pittsburgh and I can recognize, like, oh, okay, I know where that is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like a thing about this area is we love things that are local to us, that are known to us. So I can see people getting behind it and supporting it. Absolutely.
No,
and you certainly have our support here at a Bunch of Bull Studios.
And we greatly appreciate it so much. We appreciate just being here and being able to talk about this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. And, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with and hope, once you guys get further along in the process, you can come back and visit us and let us know where you are. Maybe have some clips for us and we can show them on air what we're able to, what you guys are willing to divulge to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, we can find a way to get the link to the trailer for you guys, and you can throw that up there, because we definitely have a full trailer that's out there right now, where perfectly viewable to everybody. And Justin's really proud of it. We're really proud of it. He did an amazing job on it. It's unreal. So.
Yeah, no, you guys definitely sparked my interest, and I'm looking forward to seeing just what happens with it and in the future. And if you want to give them one more time, the GoFundMe. So anyone looking to support, please make sure you do so. Let's make this thing happen and make it come to life. I know I want to see it.
www.gofundme.com /F/independent/film.
There we go. Mm-hmm. There it is. And my name is Marley. Down here for another episode of Marley State of Mind, a special episode on this Sunday. Until next time, we'll see you guys. We're here at a Bunch of Bull Studios every week for you. And we'll be here next Saturday for you for our next episode of Marley State of Mind. Hey, thank you for coming out.
Well, actually, and one more thing. In March, we're actually appearing at Creature Fest at the old Uniontown Cinema 6.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we got a booth and everything. So we'll be there. I believe it's March 24th, that Sunday of it. So, hey, if anybody wants to come out and see us, go for it.
Yeah, make sure you come out for that. Yeah. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.